Before we start this meeting, if you have a cell phone, please either silence it or turn it off. I will do it myself. So I will call to order the regular City Commission meeting for Wednesday, June 21st, 2017. Immediately following this, we'll have an executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602A to consider the employment of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent. You want to call a roll, please?
Commissioner Ide.
Here.
Commissioner Shaw.
Here.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Here.
Commissioner Mengelberg.
Here.
Mayor Holliday.
Here. Please stand and join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So, first up, we have a proclamation for Heritage Days, June 23rd through 24th, 2017. Mr. Underwood.
Do you want me to read it? This is a celebrating the Heritage Days as part of the Rose Festival events. Do you want me to read it, or?
No, I'll read the proclamation, but
Okay.
do you have...
It's basically it's a Friday and Saturdays, 23rd and 24th, and all of the museums and tourism aspects or the elements or institutions of Oregon City are going to be open for free for the public to tour. That's basically it. This is the first year of doing this, and hopefully it is a very...
Is there a representative of the group
success.
who wishes to say something?
I'll try to keep him under control.
We'll say Counselor Smith because it wasn't commissioners back then, so...
Well, the photograph up there is from the Grand Flora Parade. So we had a float and a contingent of people in the Grand Flora Parade for the Rose Festival promoting Oregon City's heritage. And so this weekend, Friday, Saturday, we have all the heritage sites open to the public. There's shuttle that will take people around. So if you check in, it goes from 10 to 5. If you check in at the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center, you'll get a booklet or a passport that will allow you to get on the shuttle and to see all the sites throughout the day. Quite a group of people have been putting this together for months. Rolla Harding has been the leader of this in terms of doing a lot of the work. And so we definitely appreciate that, and we appreciate the city's support in the participation in the parade, but also in getting the Ermatinger House open for these 2 days coming up this weekend, which is actually, I think, for me, a big piece of this event. This will be the first time that the public's really been able to go into the Ermatinger House in about 6 years.
Yeah,
6 or 7.
I'd like to invite all of you, by the way, to attend this coming. Bring lots of water. It's going to be a tad warm, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I will be in Miami for the United States Conference of Mayors.
Probably be a tad warmer.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit warmer there.
You'll have a beach, though.
We did put
So-
air conditioning in that building, didn't we? Ermatinger House.
I believe we did.
Air conditioning.
I think so.
So I will read the proclamation. Whereas Dr. John McLaughlin platted out and named Oregon City while serving as the chief factor of the British Fort Vancouver, and whereas Dr. McLaughlin retired in Oregon City and built the McLaughlin House, and whereas because of Dr. McLaughlin's pioneering efforts, he has been named the Father of Oregon by the Oregon Legislature and has provided Oregon City with a rich heritage, and whereas we are celebrating the heritage of Oregon City with public access to historic sites on June 23rd and 24th so that others may learn about the Oregon City story, and whereas this celebration is a proactive effort in tourism, and tourism is a priority for Oregon City as well as an important economic tool. Now, therefore, I, Dan Holliday, Mayor of Oregon City, do proclaim June 23rd through 24th, 2017 as Oregon City Heritage Days, and I urge all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the heritage of Oregon City and to recognize the contributions of our founders in creating this historic city. In witness hereof, I have set my hand this 21st day of June, 2017.
Thank you, Mayor.
There we go.
Thank you.
So back. Oh, we're citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments? Have a couple. Okay. So I have Wendell Baskins and Marge Harding.
I think those were for the proclamation.
Oh.
I'm one step behind. We have William Gifford.
Oh, of course we do. Father Time. Oh, come on up, Wendell, if you got something to say.
I'd be careful. I believe that's called a possible
Thank you.
bag.
My name's Wendell Baskins. I live on Lafayette here in Oregon City. And just giving you a heads up, if you don't know, this Heritage Days is potentially an opening event for another year coming. On May 23rd, 2008, on May 23rd, 175 years ago in 2018, 100 wagons and 1,000 people left Independence, Missouri for Oregon City, and it touched off the Great Migration. We're roughly 18 months away. I'm already being approached by national organizations. I represent OTAC, Oregon Historic Trails Advisory Council, which is the governor's council, 9 individuals from around the state dealing with the 16 historic trails of Oregon as designated by the legislature. I'm already receiving inquiries at meetings and informal. What's Oregon City going to do? How is it going to be involved? And how we can team with Oregon City. Not only is it at the 175th year of the opening of the Oregon Trail, it's the 50th year of the signing of the legislation for long-distance trails. So the National Park Service is looking to team with people to do 150th anniversary of the Oregon Trail along with the 50th anniversary of the long-distance trails. And I know that OCHCC is, we dealt with the Heritage Days, but is there would someone get in touch with me, tell me someone in the city I should be directing these folks to, some kind of discussion, because they're looking for they're potentially looking for more than a volunteer out there by themselves. They may be looking for like an official representative of the city.
As always, the point person is city manager Tony Conkle, so point people to him and he can delegate from there as far as whether it's Parks and Rec or somebody else, and if there's need for official action or an elected representative, Tony can let us know that too.
Okay, just want to know the procedure,
Yeah.
and that tells me, and I will be in touch with the city manager, and so at least making sure that if I'm passing on information, it's the best information we have.
Okay, thanks, sir. Appreciate it.
You betcha.
Mr. Gifford, whenever you're done with your phone.
I was going to look up the Latin phrase for 175 because we had that cool sesquicentennial. Yeah, has anybody figured out what 175th is? I haven't gotten that yet, so excuse the digression. Mr. Mayor and City Commissioners, my name is William Gifford. I live in Oregon City. I wanted to point out that a lot of attention has been given to the Legacy Project. We're very excited about that, of course. But in addition to the Legacy Project, right across the river from that, or on the other side, are the Willamette Locks. And to find out more about those locks, the presentation next Tuesday with the Oregon City Business Alliance is entitled Beyond Legacy and the future of the Willamette Falls locks. And we have 3 distinguished visitors who will be talking about opportunities and challenges having to do with those locks. And I would certainly invite everyone at 11:30 next Tuesday down at the Abernathy Center. It is a luncheon for $20, and they can sign up at ocbusinessalliance.com.
Will WFMC be there recording the event?
Yes.
Okay.
And for the listening audience, WFMC is somebody else. It's the Willamette
Willamette
Falls.
Falls Media Center. I apologize.
Thank you. Got him.
You got me. There you go.
Yeah, but that one's near and dear to your heart, so we'll let it go. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further citizen comments? Then we'll go. Everybody okay with the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then we have set 6A 17340, resolution number 1715, declaring Oregon City's election to receive state revenues. Mr. Parno.
Thank you, Mayor Holliday and City Commissioners. Resolution 17-15 declares Oregon City's eligibility to receive state shared revenues, which is the state's collection of the liquor tax. And in order to be eligible to receive those monies, the city must pass a resolution electing to do so and to hold 2 public hearings. The first public hearing was held on May 1st as part of the Budget Committee meeting. At that time, there were no comments. The second public hearing is to be held now. And the funds would represent $794,000 over the biennium to the city's general fund, not allocated to a specific purpose, but generally used to support parks, police, and general government services. So with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Hearing none, I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to comment? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions from the commission? Then I'd hear a motion.
Move to approve resolution 17-15, declaring Oregon City's election to receive state revenues.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw, seconded by Commissioner Mengerberg. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell,
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg,
Aye.
Mayor Holliday.
Aye.
It passes.
Okay, next item, 6B, 17-349, Resolution 17-16, adopting the budget, making appropriations, imposing taxes, and categorizing taxes for the 2017-2019 biennium. Mr. Parno.
Thank you, Mayor Holliday and City Commissioners. As you know, on May 1st, the Budget Committee met to review the 2017 through 2019 biennial budget and approved the budget with no exceptions. The budget included a total amount of $190 million and some odd dollars, but I'll go into one requested change in a moment. I'd like to say that the budget included 2 years at the current tax rate of $4.409 per thousand. And I did go back and look at the records, and it was back in 2007 that the city annexed into the fire district, which means 10 years ago, that the Oregon City Commission made a commitment to not raise the tax rate to the maximum level.
For
And
5 years.
For 5 years at that time. And so now we have gone 10 years at imposing a tax rate that's 65 cents below the maximum level, which saves homeowners with an average assessed value of $250,000, about $160 a year. And so compliments to you, commissioners, continuing to keep your promises to taxpayers and keeping us below the maximum tax rate. There's one recommended change from the budget that was approved by the Budget Committee, and that is to add a college resource officer for the police department. After the budget was approved, the college contacted Chief Ban and asked if they could have some resource help. The budget, as asked for your adoption, includes that position, which will be paid for by the college, and the chief is in negotiations with the college. So you'd see an IGA for that allocation at that time.
So this is just a pass-through?
The college would pay for the position. It would be a full-time sworn police officer.
So
like a pass-through.
an Oregon City police officer, but all of the associated costs would be paid by the college.
That is correct.
Does that include uniform, weapon, all that stuff?
That is correct.
Okay.
And so with that, that would bring the total adopted budget to $191,213,129. And with that, I ask that you hold the hearing and adopt resolution number 17-16. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Questions from the commission? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion.
Move to adopt resolution number 17-16, a resolution adopting the budget, making appropriations, imposing taxes, and categorizing taxes for the 2017 through 2019 biennium.
Second.
Oops. You guys are killing me. Moved by Commissioner Ide, seconded by Commissioner Mengerberg. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell,
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg,
Aye.
Mayor Holliday.
Aye.
It passes.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
I'm confused in this next one. So why do we have to have a public hearing for a continuation?
The record is open for this item, and so you can accept public comment if it comes in, but we do not have a staff report prepared for you, so we are requesting a continuation. The notice for tonight was identified on the notice that was posted on the property and mailed out to the neighbors and posted in the paper.
Okay. So we are on to 6C, PC 17-071, continuation request for annexation of 0.9 acres at 19763 South Parish Road. Planning file AN 16-0002. That's your staff report, what you just said, right?
Yes.
For all intents and purposes. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to discuss this item? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Any comments from the commission? Then I hear a motion.
Move to approve item PC 17-071, continuation request for annexation of 0.9 acres. Yep.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw, seconded by Commissioner Megaberg. For discussion, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide?
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg?
Aye.
Mayor Holliday?
Aye.
It passes.
On to general business, 17-367, second reading of ordinance number 17-1007, amendments to the Oregon City Municipal Code for accessory buildings and structures and uses. Ms. Turway.
Thank you very much. Staff has proposed some amendments to the Oregon City Municipal Code. The first reading of this hearing occurred on June 7th. The proposed amendments include changes to the municipal code for residential and commercial properties to allow more flexibility and transparency in our code as well. And with that, City Attorney Kabaisman has some legal readings for you.
Yes, sorry, let me turn on the mic. As with the last hearing, we just want to make sure that if there are any conflicts of interest, that the commissioners, that now's the time to declare those.
As I declared at the first reading, I'm an owner of this type of thing. However, the number of people that own this is so large that it constitutes a class of people, and as such, I can participate.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Weisman. Is there anything else from you? Is there any discussion? Nope. Then I'd hear a motion. Man, are you guys like sleeping or what?
Motion to approve second reading of ordinance number 17-1007, amendments to the Oregon City Municipal Code for accessory buildings, structures, and uses.
Seconded.
Moved by Commissioner Ide, seconded by Commissioner O'Donnell. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
It's for an ordinance, so let me take the reading.
Oh, I apologize. Mr. Kabaisman, go ahead.
Ordinance number 17-1007, an ordinance of the City of Oregon City adopting amendments to Oregon City Municipal Code, Chapter 6.07, Hooved Animals, Chapter 17.04, Definitions, Chapter 17.54, Supplemental Zoning Regulations and Exceptions, and Chapter 17.62, Site Plan and Design Review.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide?
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg?
Aye.
Mayor Holliday?
Aye.
It passes.
Okay, on to 17-363, Resolution 1719, declaring an emergency and exempting Clackamas Fire District 1, Station 16 from Planning Division Code and Review to allow a temporary fire station at Clackamas Community College until October 1st, 2018. Ms. Turway.
Thank you very much. In May of last year, the fire station at 1934 Malala Avenue developed mold infestation. It was deemed inhabitable. And in June 1st, following that determination, the City Commission approved a resolution allowing some temporary structures out back and allowed the station to continue to remain in its location and to serve the public with the service that they have. Since that time, the fire department has been Clackamas Fire District Number 1 has been working with consultants to identify a long-term solution for the site, and they have submitted an application to the Planning Division for redevelopment of the site. They will have a Planning Commission hearing in late July on that, but in the interim, this resolution is proposed to exempt planning requirements to allow this site to be redeveloped. So we would see demolition on this site, and because of the site's constraints, they would have to relocate temporarily to another location. They have proposed to relocate to Clackamas Community College near Inskeep Drive. You can see some images on the screen. It's near the Environmental Learning Center. And the proposal would exempt all planning review and processes for this temporary time. The proposal includes a few similar type structures on site. I'll show you some images in a moment, but there would be a structure for the firefighters to live, a job shack, and then an apparatus bay as well. Examples of the structures are provided here. This resolution would exempt planning for this site until October 1st, 2018. And normally they would have put this in with the review before the Planning Commission, but now we're seeing a proposal. They would like to start digging ground in September of this year, and that doesn't provide enough time to go do the public comment that it needs to accommodate this temporary fire station. Typically, the process would require a conditional use and a master plan and lots of sort of planning requirements. So this proposal would be to exempt it until October 1st, 2018, to allow these structures to exist near Inskeep Drive and Clackamas Community College. And the Fire Battalion Chief, Jonathan Shireman, is here to answer any questions as well. We did do a preliminary review of the proposal and send it around to our transportation engineer and different departments, as well as the county.
And have you had any feedback?
No, we have all of the concerns that we had were addressed by the fire department in the material that was submitted in the application.
Okay, Chief.
I'm open to any questions.
You got to come to the mic.
I'm open to any questions
name
you
and
guys
title
have.
for the record, sir.
My name's Jonathan Shireman. I'm a battalion chief with Clackamas Fire District.
Thank you. So, questions, anybody?
I have a question for Ms. Cherway. I know that they would be exempt from the planning process, but would these structures need to get building official approval?
Yes, this resolution does not exempt them from any permitting requirements from the building division, just the planning processes and requirements.
Okay.
And what is the long-term location plan?
The long-term location is right back where Station 16 currently is. We're going to rebuild on that property a new station.
Thank you.
And,
Okay, Commissioner Hyde.
just a question about the cost to set all that up, the use of the buildings, the rental of the buildings, and the infrastructure, the sewer, everything. Is that all being absorbed by Clackamas Fire District?
Yes. So the current building that we have at the Station 16 site now that the firefighters are living in is going to be the same modular building that would be moved to this location. And then there would be the addition of the job shack just for a little more office space for the crew, and then the temporary housing for the fire apparatus itself.
So you just have one truck up there?
Yes. It will be the ladder truck for Oregon City.
Okay. Anybody else?
And you would
Shaw?
Commissioner Hyde brought up a good point, but as far as sewer and all that stuff, that's all going to have to be hooked up there, has to be run to that site.
Yes, there is existing sewer there from the community college. I don't have the exact numbers on how that would all be hooked up, but I know we've been in discussion with the college, and they're happy to have us there for the temporary stay.
Yeah. How many folks will be there at that site? What's your
For
staff?
each 24-hour shift, there's 4 people on duty.
Okay.
Commissioner Mengenberg?
So would your existing other 2 facilities can take up some of the slack in the meantime?
There shouldn't be any slack that actually needs to be taken up because we're actually keeping that truck company in their first due area. So it's just a short distance away from where they currently are. So it keeps our response in a good, timely fashion from where we currently are.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
So I have a question. So there is that 48 to 72 hour timeline when you're actually, tearing the stuff down on the one site and putting it on the other site. What are you going to do with your apparatus and your men during that particular period of time?
Most likely they will be moved down to Station 15 here, the John Adams Station, for just a very short period of time while we can get the buildings moved.
Okay. Other questions? Mr. Gifford.
For the record, my name is Father Time. And I live William Gifford, and I live in Oregon City. A couple of things. One, and I don't know that it was explained, but in conversations that I've had with the district, this is even a sweeter deal. It's a real win-win situation because, as I understand it, when the district vacates the college site as a quid pro quo, they are going to be improving that site for the college. So I don't think that they're paying any rent up there, but in exchange for the opportunity to be sitting there for a year, they are going to make the site up there better than it was.
Our goal is to always leave something better than we found it in all manners of our business, so it would be the same for this site.
Okay.
The other question that I had was that this says it requires it allows the temporary until October 1st, 2018. And I understand that you need a date on that, but I'm concerned that if, God forbid, there's some weather incident or emergency situation that requires for them to be at the college site longer than that, is there a means of extending that? Do they have to go through another hearing? Are they locked into being out of there by that time, or what?
Mr. Way?
They would have to come back. This resolution is only valid till October 1st, 2018.
And is there a specific reason for that particular timeline?
The fire district anticipates being in their building a month or two before that, so we added a little bit buffer in case construction goes long.
Okay.
And so that date is when the fire station property will be redeveloped with a new station, so they should be able to move back in.
All right, thank you.
It sounds like a reasonable time frame. I'm just concerned that we're not going to get our hands tied.
Well,
That
I
is,
think
the district is not going to get
Extend
hands
the
tied.
I think 2 months past the Gantt schedule for construction should be plenty.
Okay, that was my concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. I'm open for a motion at this point.
Okay, move to approve resolution number 17-19, declaring an emergency and exempting Clackamas Fire District 1, Station 16 from Planning Division Code and review to allow a temporary fire station at Clackamas Community College until October 1st, 2018.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw, seconded by Commissioner Mengelberg. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide?
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg?
Aye.
Mayor Holliday?
Aye.
It passes.
So I will say I'm going to the U.S. Conference of Mayors this week. They have Fire Ops 101 training there. I did it last year. I will not be attending again.
So noted.
Okay, moving on. Resolution 17-18, identifying a planning division review fee for temporary structures on commercial, multifamily, industrial, and institutional properties. Ms. Turway.
Thank you very much. So this resolution is associated with the second ordinance that you did previously this evening. And so with those proposed code amendments, we'll allow temporary structures on commercial property. Commercial properties have a structure up to 200 square feet 6 times a year, and then they can have structures larger than that twice a year. And so what this does is it sets up the fee associated with that review. So Planning Division would review those temporary structures in compliance with our code to make sure that they meet height and setbacks and that they have the minimum amount of parking required for the other uses on site, as well as looking at site access. So those are the only things that we're looking at. What we're doing with this resolution is we are picking from our menu of existing fees and identifying which existing fee would apply to this review process. Because of the time involved in the review process, it mirrors very similar to our Type 1 site plan design review, which is the process to review minor modifications to commercial structures. And so applying that fee works very well. There's 2 types of fees that we would be applying. One is each time a building comes in, someone could apply for a permit for a one time of the building, and that would be a $75 fee. However, we wanted to make sure that there was some efficiencies for buildings who want to do a structure that's temporary, that's up to 200 square feet multiple times a year, since you can have one up to 6 times a year. So we have proposed a method where we create an area on site, and they could put their whatever structure on site 6 times a year, but they only get 1 permit. So they get a cheaper permit fee, and we only review it once, but each time they want to put up the structure, they let us know. So it's a little bit more money because there is some back end work for us to document and tell code enforcement, things like that, when they do have those temporary structures. But in general, it leads to a much greater, lower costs and much greater efficiencies for the applicant who wants to have those temporary structures under 200 square feet up to 6 times per year. So with that, we propose approval of the resolution. I'm here happy to answer any questions that you have.
Questions? I have a question.
Yeah.
So right now, the pop-up structures have gone up for the 4th of July fireworks things. Are those currently, do they have to get a permit? Do they get reviewed?
Have they?
There's one in the parking lot at Joanne's Fabrics right now.
I did see that today. So they're required today to go through site plan design review because the ordinance that you just passed earlier this evening isn't in effect for 30 days. So they're required to have review, and they have not submitted applications for review. And so this temporary structure will solve that problem moving forward because we'll create an easier path.
Okay, so not to cause myself to get shot at walking out the door, how do we deal with those things this time around?
Yeah, so
do we just ignore it?
The problem is that we'll put them in code enforcement, and because we allow time for compliance through code enforcement, by the time we get to where
enforcement, it's gone.
By the time we get before the judge, it's gone. Is typically why we'll see these every year as being a continuous problem.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The questions?
Sir.
Go ahead.
I should have put on there an example of somebody that want to use it 6 times a year. Is there?
I think grocery stores are a good example. Grocery Outlet does often a pop-up tent, but also like Fred Meyer's will want to barbecue ribs or something outside. We would expect maybe some with fireworks stands, Christmas tree stands as well, some of those larger structures.
Okay.
Yeah. Sidewalk sales, we see a lot of those.
And the size is 200 feet, huh? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve resolution number 17-18, identification of a planning division review fee for temporary structures on commercial, multifamily, industrial, and institutional properties.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Ide, seconded by Commissioner Shaw. For the discussion, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide?
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw?
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg?
Aye.
Mayor Holliday?
Aye.
It passes.
Okay, last one on the regular agenda, PC 17-072, Willamette Falls Legacy Project Governance Intergovernmental Agreement with the State of Oregon through the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, Clackamas County, Metro, and the City of Oregon City. Ms. Turway.
Thank you very much. For the Willamette Falls Legacy Project, we know that this is a intergovernmental project, and we value that work together. With that, we have the partners that you identified, the State of Oregon, Clackamas County, and Metro, and ourselves, and we have an agreement to verify our structure and organizational decision-making process. This IGA is a new IGA, or intergovernmental agreement, to continue that process through development of Phase 1 of the Willamette Falls Legacy Project Riverwalk. And we have a current IGA that expires at the end of this month. So this IGA is a little bit different because we're moving into a different phase of development. We now have Phase 1, and Metro is taking on the liability or risks associated with that, the state funding and grants and delivery of Phase 1. So one of the major changes in this IGA is the recognition that Metro is taking on those risks, and so they do get to lead in the decision-making process as we move through and refine Phase 1. It is valid until 2023. We expect the Phase 1 of Willamette Falls Legacy Riverwalk to be completed by 2022, so there's a little bit of a buffer there. Any questions?
Commissioner Ryan?
I just have one. Under definitions, I noticed that you've removed Rediscover the Falls, the definition of that. I know that Rediscover the Falls is still in existence. I was just curious why it was removed from the IGA. Section 2.8, or was.
Oh, you're looking at the red line version?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think initially, if I'm remembering correctly, we had worked with to create Rediscover the Falls. The nonprofit, we worked with them, provided them some funding through that original IGA.
Mm-hmm.
They've now been established. We're continuing to fund them, but they're not necessary in the IGA. They're not a partner right now to any financial commitment over the next couple of years. If that changes, I would expect to see probably a secondary intergovernmental agreement or other type of memorandum of understanding between the nonprofit and whether it's Metro, whoever the owner is of the site, for whatever funds they're able to raise and wish to bring to the project. At that time, we would see including them again.
Okay. So it's not anywhere else in the IGA?
I don't believe it is, no.
Yeah, okay.
And we did make a minor amendment through this last week to reflect some changes through Clackamas County when they reviewed the document as well.
Okay. The only other thing I would have to say is that as we continue to have discussions with the partners group, there will be a point in time sometime in the next couple of years when eventually we'll decide who the actual owner is going to be. This document was never intended to do that, just the continuation of the project as a whole until we come to that point and figure out who the owner is going to be.
Correct. And the trigger in this is that we're not going to issue building permits until we decide who the owner is, and at which point I would envision this IGA is probably amended.
Right.
Once we identify the owner. And so that'll be something that we're going to probably tackle in the next 6 months.
Questions?
It sounds very clear and very strong that Metro will be making all decisions as the project manager. Were there any concerns by staff about that?
There were concerns, but I think that they're addressed because essentially they are implementing what the partners have all agreed to in the concept design. When we talk about decision making done by Metro, we're really talking about, design engineering type questions, of which it would be really hard to have 4 agencies commenting on wood type, rail type. So those are really the questions. If they deviate from what the partners have adopted for the concept, that would be coming back to the partners. So they can't change the phasing. What's being proposed significantly. This is really just a project management identifying who's going to be responsible for the funds, the contracts, and the consultant.
And I would note that the document clearly defines conflict resolution among the parties, how it's done, how it's resolved. Mm-hmm. Quite good.
Further questions? Is there a motion?
Commissioner Mengelberg, I guess I would just add is that our staff are still involved, extremely heavily in this project. Even though, we have one staff member up at Metro right now, working out of Metro's office. We have Christina Robertson Gardner working here. So, while the language is a little stark, the relationship is still strong and the cooperation is still there. But at some point, someone has to be responsible for the state funds and all the money we've been able to put together.
I did notice one other thing, and that was that in previous years, Clackamas County was in charge of the economic development strategy, but I noticed in this version it was the City of Oregon City. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that means?
Yes. So basically, right now what that means is we're developing a strategy around the Legacy Falls site. So we still have the county at the table and Metro, but the city is leading the charge in developing that strategy, and we'll be leading the charge in implementing that as well.
Now, is there a motion?
Okay, move to approve PC 17-072, Willamette Falls Legacy Project Governance Intergovernmental Agreement with the State of Oregon through the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, Clackamas County, Metro, and the City of Oregon City.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Shaw, seconded by Commissioner Ide. For discussion? Being none, call a roll.
Commissioner Ide.
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg.
Aye.
Mayor Holliday.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Anyone want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Nope.
No.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Mengelberg, seconded by Commissioner Ide. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide.
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw.
Aye.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Aye.
Commissioner Mengelberg.
Aye.
Mayor Holliday.
Aye.
Passes.
I do want to mention on the consent agenda that I appointed Janet Mann as the chamber representative to the Stroke Review Board. Mr. Manager, communications.
Just a couple communications, and they're more of one. Just thank you and congratulations on the budget tonight. I want to acknowledge we start this in roughly November when we start the budgeting process with staff. Work through the goal setting with the commissioners in January. Identify those goals and priorities and put together a budget to implement those over the 2 years. So I want to really thank the commissioners for all their effort, the budget committee for sitting through the hearings and providing the input and review of the budget, as well as our staff, from our directors to our managers to our line folks who've all contributed to that budget that was put together. And just echoing what Mr. Parno said in terms of I think it's an ambitious budget with a lot of really great work that's going to happen on top of what we provide in daily services, just being a city of our size. The police officers, our park system, infrastructure, finance, just the administrative work that goes on of running a community our size. And to be able to do that without raising taxes, addressing the PERS increase, I think it was just a compliment to the whole team, including yourself. So I really do appreciate that. And second, obviously we're into summer. We're gonna have some hot days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday here. I just remind folks, the rivers are still cold, running quick. We already had one fatality at High Rocks in May. So just please, folks, if you're out in the water, just please be careful out there. That's all I have tonight.
Commissioner Ide?
Just very briefly, the Best of Oregon City Red Carpet event is tomorrow evening. It's an awards ceremony that is going to determine the best of Oregon City in all kinds of categories, and then following that will be the distribution of a full color, beautiful magazine that's going to be sent out to all of Oregon City. A really great publication for our city. So, and that's all sponsored by the Downtown Oregon City Association. So you can still get tickets.
Are you going to have a speaking role in that event?
I'm going to receive any awards that we receive.
Okay.
As far as I haven't been notified that I'm going to have a speaking role.
Well, if you get a chance, just tell folks that I would really like to be there, but I'm going to be out of town. So.
Okay. And then just one other thing, the National League of Cities conference is in November, and I would like to attend that conference. And just as a courtesy to the commission, I know we have a budget for travel and so forth, and if there's any objections to my going to that, please say so now. Otherwise, I'm going to make the plans to go.
I actually encourage Commissioner Ide. I think it's important for one of you guys to attend the NLC. It gives you a great perspective on, other places, and you get to meet other people. And there's a bunch of folks that come from the Portland metro area, so you'll be a good company. I'll put you in touch with a couple of folks so that you have somebody to hang out with.
You got Dennis.
It's not the same.
I do.
Commissioner Shaw, you got anything?
Just a couple things. Just wanted to mention at the Optimist the other day, we had the Respect for Law program, and we Chief Band nominated Sergeant Edwards for our award this year. So Sergeant Edwards is the Oregon City Officer of the Year. Then we also had Clackamas County there, and we recognized one of them also. Also, I did attend the Clackamas County Business Alliance the other morning, and just got into a little discussion about affordable housing with Chair Bernard, and want to revisit that. Obviously, they want to sell the property up at the housing project, their county housing, I think it's called up there, and like to revisit that and see if we cannot partake in having affordable housing up here, and not take all of that and sell it. Maybe take some of it and densify it so that we also are contributing here to affordable housing for our folks here and stuff. So we're gonna still have that discussion, sounds like. So,
Commissioner Mengerberg?
Just that I'll be gone the month of July, so this will be my last meeting until August 2nd. So I won't be able to be part of the community enhancement grant process.
Is this
until March.
vacation?
It is.
Okay.
My apologies.
Sir? Commissioner O'Donnell?
Actually, a simple statement of appreciation to Ms. Turway for a diligent and insightful job in creating the municipal code for accessory structures. I know how demanding it was, and it was insightful, and you took the foresight to avoid future problems, and it was a very difficult task, and I appreciate it. And other than that, a simple expression of thanks to our firefighters. I've had occasion within my family to use them on multiple occasions, and I know that your location and even where you are serves a number of senior facilities and are frequently called, and you guys are compassionate and do a great job. Thank you.
Okay, so I was gone most of the last week or so. I was in Philadelphia for the American Water Association conference with John Collins in my capacity as the chairman of the South Fork Water Board. I did have a short interview with Jeff Mapes from OPB talking about transportation projects and the expansion of the Abernathy Bridge and I-205. And then on Monday, had a meeting with Mayor DeReamer from Happy Valley, Mayor Gamba from Milwaukee, myself, and Commissioner Savas, talking about the transportation bill that probably won't come out of the legislature, but talking about some of the ways that might be structured if it does. Beyond that, I'm looking forward to leaving tomorrow to go to the U.S. Conference of Mayors in Miami. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Hearing none, then we are adjourned into executive session.